This MMA 30 video is brought to you by Cheaterville.com. Don't go down without a fight.
I'm not saying they didn't like the defensive strategy. You know,
too fucking bad. Shut up. That stuff drives me crazy. Yeah. You don't like the way he fought? Who gives a shit? Too bad. The kid came out with a game plan and he fought. I actually think in that last round he could have finished Nick. I think he laid back and played it safe, didn't want to get in there and get dangerous in exchange. You know what I mean? People don't like the way that he fought. Oh well.
People say, you know, you've got to be disappointed you don't get to put the big money fight together.
I'm not disappointed at all. Not at all. George St. Pierre and Carlos Condit will be a big fight. I guarantee you.
How about Roy Nelson tonight? I know he'd been on thin ice before. This wasn't. It's weird. It was a gutsy performance, but it wasn't necessarily a great performance. Where do you stand with Roy? What do you think? How do you evaluate him as well?
Yeah, I've been telling Roy forever that, you know, if Roy took himself serious and, you know, for instance, I mean, Roy had a couple of moments there. He rocked Verdum once with a couple of shots, you know, and if he was in good enough shape to keep that kind of a pace, he would win more fights, you know. I told him, you can't, I mean, why, you know, like, the shtick was funny for a while, but going in at 265 with a frame that doesn't carry 265 makes no sense when you're a professional fighter or a professional athlete of any kind. He got his weight down, you know. He's tough, though, man. He's so tough. He's one of the toughest guys I've ever seen, ever.
So even with the laws, you think he's safe right now?
I don't know. We'll see what happens. I mean, the guy brings it. He comes to fight, you know. You wonder what he could do if he really trained and got into it. I don't know. Yeah, I think you either have it or you don't. You know, you got these guys that have knockout power, and guys that don't. You know, I don't know what difference your weight would be. You know, it's one thing if you we're talking about a guy's weight being explosive and athletic as to being 265 pounds.
Did you think Nick was serious when he said he was retiring?
You never know with Nick Diaz, you know? You never know. I think he's just upset right now, and I think he's emotional, but who knows? Let me tell you what, the kid's made a lot of money. I mean, if he didn't want to do it anymore, maybe he could retire, but why? He's in his prime. Fight a few more years, and you'll have enough money to really do it and kick back for the rest of your life.
AKA. Well, that was, you know, there were some matchups there that you wanted to put together for a long time.
That's what I whispered to him. I said, now I'm doing the John Fitch fight. That's what I said to him.
What was his reaction?
He said, good luck with that.
Do you think he still wouldn't be open to it right now? Or just does the evil genius inside of you just want to put that together, regardless of whether it makes sense?
That's what Lorenzo said.
Yeah?
Yeah, that's what Lorenzo said too. I don't know. No, I'm just fucking with him. You know, if the fight made sense, because there was a time when those two were both going like this, and you know, if the fight made sense, though, yeah, I'd try to make it. I wouldn't do it just to do it.
Yeah, you would.
No.
I think so too. What's going on with Mike Swick at this point? Have you guys been in contact with him?
Yeah, I haven't. I know Joe Silva has. Swick hurts himself when he gets out of bed in the morning every day. You know, I love Swick. He's one of my favorite guys, but you know, he's Mr. Glass. Josh looked flat tonight, man. It looked like I expected Josh to have the faster hands, you know, let him go. He didn't really let his hands go tonight. He looked flat.
And in Barral, people are starting to look at him. He's kind of flying under the radar, I think.
Not in Brazil, he's not.
No, definitely not. What did you think about his sports? I know you don't like the matchmaking. Obviously, you've already got a title fight set up in that division.
Right.
But what do you think about that guy?
Yeah, I think he's, you know, first of all, he's got an incredible streak going. He's huge. He's the buzz right now in Brazil. Everybody's buzzing about that guy. And we'll see what happens. But, yeah.
I'm sorry. I know you mentioned it a little bit during the press conference, but did you talk to George St. Pierre after the fight? And if you do, what do you think that conversation's going to be?
Yeah, I didn't. You know, I know he wanted Diaz, and he really wanted that Diaz fight bad, but it's not going to be Diaz. So he better get angry with Carlos Condit, or you know, focused on Carlos Condit, or whatever it is he needs to do. I don't know. You know, these knee surgeries these days aren't what they used to be. He went to the absolute best doctor there is. He's getting the best physical therapy that you can get, and he's a hard worker. So some of these knee surgeries that they do now are just as good as, I mean, Jerry Rice 10 years ago came back off after a knee surgery and was still awesome. I think it depends on the individual, but these new knee surgeries are way different than they used to be. He interviewed the guys with what they thought about the fight. We were going to get Brady too, but Brady was they had him on lockdown. Couldn't get near Brady. Nobody could get near Brady.
I don't want anybody to mess with him.
Exactly, me neither. Believe me, we didn't need his prediction that bad. I'm with you. You know, I was kind of hoping, you know, go to Hawaii again and do like a BJ fight, you know, at the Aloha Bowl. But BJ wants to take some time off and he's gonna relax for a while. So, but we're coming either regardless. But that was the fight I really wanted to do there.
Question: are guys going to be kind of sequestered on lockdown like they were previously, or are they going to be able to have cell phones?
No.
The same deal, but twice as long.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah, it's going to be crazy. The first season of The Ultimate Fighter was the longest season we've ever done. It was something like 8 weeks, and those guys were losing their fucking minds. Bonner jumped. I almost kicked Bonner off the show. Bonner climbed up, turned the shower on, pretended he was taking a shower, climbed out the window, and went to a liquor store because we took all the liquor out of the house. Remember, after the big fight, and he got caught. Obviously, these idiots were in there driving around for 6 weeks, 7 weeks, whatever it was. That house was in the middle of nowhere. There's no liquor store near there. The guy was walking for like an hour and 30 minutes. So we, you know, shower was on. We caught him leaving, and imagine that. So much crazy shit happened that first season. Imagine if I kicked Stephan Bonner off the show for going to a liquor store. Forrest and Stephan would have never happened. It's just weird. So, thank God.
So with that in mind, it doesn't concern you that you're going to sequester these guys for 4 weeks longer than that?
No, it is what it is. It is what it is. It's going to be crazy.
Any updates on the other international tops? You said a few weeks ago that you were really close to signing a couple other international tops as well.
Yeah, we are. Should be anytime now. It's probably going to be India. India will probably be first.
I know your ultimate goal is kind of the tough World Cup thing. How many countries do you need on board before you can hold a tournament? I mean, you could do it with just 4? Or?
Yeah, you could do it with 4, 5, 6. I mean, yeah, definitely. All the winners fight each other. You end up with one winner. In women's MMA, there's going to be some one-offs where you can do some fun fights. That's one of them. I'm excited about that fight. I actually like both those girls. I like their fighting styles, and I like them personally. So it's going to be a fun one.
So, you know, New York legalization, I know you had spoke recently saying that you were going to make it happen in 2012. Where's the progress, or what's the next step with that needs to happen to get it moving forward?
Well, you know, we're in a lawsuit with the state of New York, and I'm very, very confident that we're going to win. Very confident. So,
is that the one on the First Amendment?
The question is, how do you know, how fast do these things move, you know? Our first showing over there, we did really well. Sorry, I didn't mean to kick your camera. We did really well, so very confident that this is going to go our way.
So you said that the fight has been verbally agreed to between Chael and Anderson. So did that go down literally tonight? And what was that?
Yeah, went down during the fight. Yeah.
So what? Anderson finally just said, "Yeah, okay."
Yeah, no, he was never not gonna fight Chael Sonnen. You guys got to stop listening to Chael. Okay? Chael is full of shit. The answer was yes. We had talked about it, and Hawaii, and Montreal, and all these others. So you know, they're all still a work in progress. None of them are set in stone. Very important fight for not only those guys, but for that weight division too. You know, Ellenberger coming off the big win over Shields, and Diego Sanchez coming off these injuries and getting back into the groove again. He's been out for a while, so it's a big fight for those guys and for that division.
Well, certainly a lot of people think, you know, Ellenberger is a champion to make, and how many fights away do you think he could be from a title shot if he was victorious over Diego? You know,
it depends on how that fight goes. You know, Diego is a fighter that a lot of people respect. You know, you don't just go in and walk through Diego Sanchez. Diego Sanchez is usually in a knockdown, drag him out war, and so it would depend. If he went in there and made quick work of Diego Sanchez after just coming off and knocking out Jake Shields, pretty good place to be.
Ellenberger's a 2-1 favorite in the fight. Did you know?
Yeah.
Does that surprise you?
The odds surprise me all the time. You know, for Bisping to be a 5-1 underdog against Chael, and you know, There's a lot of shit that surprises me in this sport. None of that stuff matters to me. I don't ever, you know, the way that this works is you're going to have winners and you're going to have losers. You're going to have guys that get older and they're going to retire, and you're going to, that's the business. Our job is, and always has been, is to bring the best fights with the best fighters in the world. You know, it's like the Diaz Condit thing. Carlos Condit won this fight tonight. No matter how much George and Nick hate each other, Carlos Condit won, and no matter, and I think the fans, it's like when I first sat down, like, the fans are mad about the way Carlos Condit fought. Too fucking bad. You know what I mean? You're mad at the way he fought. He went in there and he fought a great fight. Stuck to his game plan, didn't fall into Nick Diaz. Nick Diaz is the master of getting you to fight his type of fight. Because fighters have egos, you know? And millions of people are watching. When you start getting open hand slapped by the other guy and getting called, you know, he's calling you names. All right, you want to do this? They dive in and they do it. Carlos Condit kept his cool tonight, fought a perfect fight, and like he said, started early chopping those legs, and that did make a big difference toward the end of the fight. It slowed Nick down a lot. Body shots too. Good. Well, it seemed like there was only George St. Pierre because he was dominating everybody, you know? He was so dominant. It's like the 185-pound division. Everybody thinks it's the weakest division in the world, which it's not. Just the baddest dude in the world has the belt in that division, so he makes it look very weak.
Dana, did you get any fan response for the brand new opening? And how did you feel the first time you saw it in the arena?
Yeah, it was cool. Actually, right after when I was going through Twitter and people were going crazy over it. People loved it. So, yeah, I was very satisfied. Yep. You hated that open. I don't know what the hell to do, man. You know what I mean? The Gladiator Hall of Fame? I don't think so. The Gladiator, like I said to the press that were there when we did it, you know, at the time when we bought this thing and I was looking for that identity for the brand, the Gladiator worked perfect and it was great, and it's time. And now, where we are today, I think this is perfect. So I'm really happy.
Dana, people are joking about taking life insurance policies out on Chael's head.
Yeah.
How do you feel about that?
Taking out life insurance policy for Chael to go down to Brazil. I think he's going to be okay in Brazil. There's a lot of people that hate him, but people love these type of rivalries. I mean, for Brazil, you heard the guy earlier talking about what it's like down in Brazil. For those of you that haven't gone down there yet to a live fight and been, it's insane, man. It is insane. And he's right. The numbers that we're pulling, I mean, we peaked at 6.6 million or something the other night on Fox. We're like, fucking woohoo, that's awesome. We're doing 50 million people watching down there. And there's only 200 million people in the country, and absolutely those numbers are going to keep going up and up and up. And I think that this Ultimate Fighter down there is going to be huge. The Ultimate Fighter is going to be huge. It's just to explain to you guys how big this is, it's crazy. And in the 10 years that we've been working in all these other markets, you know, 56,000 up in Toronto was phenomenal. I mean, it was so. We're going to do 80,000 people in the soccer stadium down there.
When you guys did the Toronto show,
on our third fight,
you guys kind of retrofitted the stadium so that there was a ton of TV screens and things like that. Have you started thinking about how you're going to be able to do that?
Yeah, we'll pull it off. That's one thing that I'll never do. I'll never go into a stadium like that and not do it the right way. We'll do it the right way, and we'll make it work.
Dana, you kind of seemed like you were open to a potential rematch. Did I misread you, or you just said that'd be crazy?
You know what's funny, man, is that when he said that, I was thinking the same thing. You know, it's crazy, but.
Were you thinking it like during the fight, like maybe?
No. I was thinking it after the fight. I was like, you know what? People bitching, people think that was close, and people whatever. We could do that fight again before GSP comes back.
Would you do it as Carlos's next fight?
I don't know. Depends on Carlos too. Carlos has really got to say, and Nick's got to say, I want to fight him again too. So
this MMA 30 video is brought to you by Cheaterville.com. Don't go down without a fight.